With the release of Acrobat X Pro, Adobe has changed a few things with respect to working with rich media in PDFs. Before we get started, let's review some of these. Acrobat X Pro supports embedding of FLV flash video files and H.264 encoded video files, including F4V, MP4, and M4V, as well as 3GP and 3G2 files commonly recorded by cell phone cameras. To use video in other formats such as WMV or MPG, it is necessary to use the Adobe Media Encoder to convert the video into one of these supported formats. Adobe Media Encoder Cs5 is included in the Acrobat Suite edition for Windows platforms only. Legacy multimedia remains supported for playback only. However, it is disabled by default for security reasons, and support for writing legacy format rich media video or sound annotations has been removed from Acrobat X. Embedding of flash content has not changed in Acrobat X. Sound files must be in MP3 format compatible with Flash Player. Legacy formats are no longer supported. Acrobat X Pro allows direct embedding of 3D models into PDF documents. The supported 3D types are Polygonal Universal 3D, or either Polygonal or BREP Product Representation Compact (PRC) formats. So let's get started. In this particular video, we will look at how easy it is to bring in multimedia and some of the ways you can reference this and act upon it once it's there. So to get to the media tools in Acrobat X, we're going to go to the Tools menu and we're going to open up the Content section, and we'll see the multimedia option right down here. Here you see we can add flash compatible video and sound files, as well as SWF, U3D, and PRC 3D formats. So let's focus on this video on video, sound, and SWF. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click my video tool, and I'm going to go to a section in the document where I'd like to have the video play. So you see in this document here we have a picture of the mayor, and we're going to draw a box, and we are going to select a file, or we could insert a URL reference. Now let's look at some of the options here. The options allow us to activate in certain conditions. We can disable under certain conditions. We can have playback to either float or playback on a page. And we can also specify other things here. We can look for poster from files. We can work with border widths. There are a lot of options here. As for controls, we can choose which types of skins or controls to have in that video. And if the video contains chapter markers or chapter points, we can reference these and have actions take place. And these are our advanced options here. So let's go back to Launch Settings. And in this particular case, I would like to reference a video and have it float when the user clicks on that. So I'm going to browse, and when I find my file, I click OK. Now you'll see that the media that I've referenced is not the exact same size as where I'd like to put this. So that's not a problem. What I'm going to do is I'm going to position this down a little bit lower, and I'm going to use my Shift Constraint control here and reduce the size. And we get that right under there. Now the idea is that this is going to float. So now I need to test out my video. So I'll click my Browse tool and I'll click on here.
Hello, it's my pleasure to welcome you to the 3rd Annual Meridian Conference.
Now you'll see that that video floats and it can be positioned, and if I right click, for example, I can show this as full screen media.
Hello, it's my pleasure to welcome you to the 3rd Annual Meridian Conference.
And you'll see we have a lot of options just by referencing that video within Acrobat. And anyone with the free reader can have the same experience with this. So let's work with sound. So we'll go to our Tools panel, and this time we're going to use our Multimedia tool again, and we're going to choose the sound option. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my first page, and I'd like sound to play on this page when it's opened. So the first thing is I need to reference some material. Now the sound file I'm going to place in an inconspicuous spot way down here in the lower right hand corner, and I'll look at some advanced options here. You'll see they are similar, however each content has its own set of options, and what we'd like to do is have this play when the page containing the content is opened. I'll now choose my file. I have a little soundtrack, and I'll choose that. I'll click OK. So how do we test this out? Well, we'll click on that browse tool, we'll go to a different page, and then we'll come back to that page. Now you see it's been triggered by the page open. There are other ways to trigger this, but it could get a little bit redundant if every time we open that page we find ourselves having to listen to that music. So I'll grab my Multimedia Tool and I'll double click on that to open this up. And I think what I'm going to have this do is play when content is clicked, or I can play when the page containing the content is visible. So I click OK, and next I would like to add some flash material to my document. I have some pre-recorded flash material. I'm going to show you a very interesting thing that Acrobat can do. We can actually create a PDF wrapper around a flash document and have it play as though it's a page in the document. So what I'll do here is go to the last page of my file, and I am going to go back to my Pages section of the Tools panel, and I'm going to choose Let's Insert Pages from a File. Now by default you'll see that it shows Adobe PDF files, but what's really interesting about this is we can have Acrobat show us all the files, and because a SWF is a manageable file type for Acrobat, we're going to use a how-to guide here, and we're going to click Select. Now we would like to insert this after the last page of the document, and you'll see as before we see our advanced controls, and take a moment to look at these. If we're working with our flash content, we have the similar items you've seen here, but more importantly under here, if you are a flash developer, you can actually place your flash variables in here, and with resources you can actually pull in directories and make a very robust flash environment right within Acrobat. I'm going to go back to launch settings, and I'm going to click OK and watch what happens, and you'll see I have a new page to my document. And on this page I actually have a PDF wrapped flash file. You'll see that the flash file plays, and this helps someone understand, in this case, how to upload the speaker registration form. You'll see that it moves through nicely, and we have a really great integrated use of video, sound, and flash in an existing PDF file.